I sure do love to play video games, but how come there aren't any Danish video games out there?
But Ash, I hear you cry. There are, and some of them got really big. Like, what about the Hitman series? Or if you want to go indie, what about Inside or Limbo or Freedom Planet? Those are Danish video games.
You sweet, sweet, innocent summer child. None of them, and I do mean none of them, can come even close to the level of fame and notoriety that was enjoyed by Denmark's biggest video game mascot. No, my dear viewers, none of these other games can hold a candle to this.
Yep, that's him. That's the guy.
Now, I'm willing to bet that most of my non-European viewers are pretty confused right about now, so why don't you go grab a snack, sit back down and get comfortable, because it is time for a history lesson. And if you already happen to know all this stuff, you can just, I don't know, skip ahead or something. It's okay, I don't mind. I mean, I only spent hours writing and recording and editing this stuff for you guys to watch, but it's okay. You can skip.
This is Hugo the TV-Troll. He's a kind little Scandinavian troll who goes off on adventures to rescue his wife and children from the evil witch Scylla. And believe it or not, this little bastard pretty much conquered every TV screen in Europe for about a decade.
Now, contrary to what some Danish people believe, Hugo actually wasn't the first Danish video game character.
There had been a few decently well-received video games by Danish developers in the 80s, such as Vikings on the Commodore 64 and Sword of Sudan for the Amiga 500. But it wasn't until the Danish talk show Elevatoren, or The Elevator, commissioned the creation of a video game their viewers could play that things took off. Along came Oswald of the Ice Floes in 1988, designed by Ivan Sölvason. The game starred a cute little polar bear named Oswald, who TV viewers could control live from home using the number buttons from their landline telephones.
Try and imagine that for a second. Try and imagine being there in 1988, only a few short years after video games had recovered from the crash of '83, and when home computer games were still relatively new and exciting technology.
And then imagine having everyone in the country watch as you play a video game from your home using a phone line, while being able to hear the audience react and even speak directly to a TV show host as you play. It was kind of mind-blowing at the time. I mean, really, it was basically a game show version of modern video game streaming.
You know, just with slightly fewer arbitrary and poorly enforced Twitch guidelines.
Oswald was enough of a success to get ported to home computers and get an updated 2-player version called Super Oswald, but the show wanted a new character to spice things up. And so, in September 1990, Ivan Sölvason and Niels Krogh Mortensen gave the world Hugo.
And I know I already told you that he became a success, but I really need you to understand just how big he actually got.
With his charming and upbeat personality, fourth wall-breaking sense of humor, and simple but addictive gameplay that could win you real cash prizes, Hugo took off like absolute wildfire. More games were made and ported to home computers, and he soon even got his own children's TV game show. Using an early take on motion capture, his voice actor could even talk, move and react in real time in order to banter with the show's host and the kids who called in.
So, to continue using terms that my younger viewers will understand, well, Hugo was one of the first VTubers.
Hugo was licensed to over 40 different countries and inspired the creation of similar phone games all over the world like Nelly Not, Pizzarollo and Galilei the Dog. There were music albums, an absolute tidal wave of spin-off games, and even talks of an animated feature film that sadly never came to pass. I mean, just to reiterate how big he was, there's a story floating around out there about a child who woke up in the hospital from a coma because they heard Hugo's voice on TV. His TV show ran in Poland until 2009. He got a stage musical and a comic book in Israel. Hugo was a freaking force of nature, and for a while it seemed like there was no stopping him, and quite frankly, talking about him on this channel is long overdue. Now, while I do own a Commodore 64, acquiring and recording all the original home computer releases of the Hugo games would be expensive, difficult, and quite frankly tedious as all hell.
So we're just gonna have to settle for the next best thing. The PS1 games.
These two games were released by ITE Media in 1998 and 1999, and were basically just collections of the minigames from the show and the PC releases, with the addition of some cutscenes and a story mode to make them feel a bit more like full-fledged video game adventures. Sadly, some of the most classic minigames from the show like the Labyrinth, the Bridge and the Air Balloon aren't on here, so you'll just have to look those up elsewhere.
And well, they say there's no better place to start than at the beginning, so let's just pop in Hugo 1 and get playing.
Hugo 1 collects a total of 7 minigames for you to play. More specifically, the woods, the train, scuba, skateboard, lumberjack, the mountain, and plane. While the games are a bit different from each other, they all boil down to basically the same objective. Just avoid the obstacles, grab the gold to increase your score, and get to the end of the stage. It's that simple.
Now, if these games seem a little too simplistic for you, I totally understand, but you have to remember that they were developed to be played on a landline phone, so they had to be simple by necessity, but hey, that doesn't mean they can't be fun.
There are two ways to play these minigames. First, there's the TV version where you just choose the minigame and go, trying to get the highest score possible. You get 3 lives and 3 tries. Simple and to the point, just like the show. This is the version you play when you just want to have a little nostalgic fun playing a Hugo game the way you remember them from TV. Then there's the arcade mode where Hugo's wife Hugolina and their children Rit, Rat and Rut are kidnapped by the evil witch Scylla, who intends to sap their youth and beauty to keep herself forever young and gorgeous.
Den smukkeste heks bliver jeg, når Hugoline hos mig.
Beauty, you say? Well, I'm sure she has a wonderful personality.
I don't know, maybe Scylla and Gruntilda go to the same book club or something. And man, just check out these highly advanced 1998 cutscene graphics.
Den der kommer sidst, er en sød trold.
Boy, just look how far technology has come.
You know, I just realized something. The fact that Hugo has a wife and children means that of all the famous gaming mascots like Mario, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Sonic, what have you, Hugo is pretty much the only one who canonically got laid. Well, I mean, him and Pac-Man, I suppose.
Good God, can you imagine them doing partner swapping?
Nu skal vi bare helt til tops os to. Er du klar? Nej, hvor er du dygtig.
Yes, I'm perfectly aware what kind of mental image I just planted in your brain, and no, I'm not gonna apologize.
In the arcade mode, you get to choose your own path of as little as 4 minigames to get to Scylla's lair and save Hugo's family. Now, this is the version of the game you play if you want to
lose every shred of faith you may have had in the existence of a kind and loving God.
Oh, don't think I don't see you giggling out there. Those games can't be that hard. Well, fuck you. You have no idea. You can keep your Dark Souls and your Ninja Gaidens and your Castlevanias. You have not known pain until you played Hugo 1 on PlayStation.
Even the manual straight up says that the arcade mode is way tougher than the TV version, and boy, they are not kidding. You do get more options to dodge traps thanks to a high jump, as well as the ability to randomly pick up extra lives along the way from the gold bags, but believe me, they make up for it by just throwing extra obstacles at you faster than David Zaslav can cancel movie releases. You are going to die, and die. But at least you have Hugo's cartoony antics to soften the blow a little.
Oh yeah, you think Crash Bandicoot has fun death animations? Well, Hugo has them by the dozens, and he'll even give you sass while he's at it.
Er du gal for et bremsespor? Din klaptorsk, tror du jeg er en salorm? Det smager som kampesten.
Hvad, har du brug for en bedring? Nu er det altså sidste chance.
Now this right here, I believe this is one of the reasons Hugo became such a big hit. He keeps breaking the fourth wall to interact with the player, and it's just incredibly charming.
He knocks on the screen to get your attention, he'll encourage you to try again when you lose a life, and his famous catchphrase is even, "Hvor skal vi hen, du?" which translates to something like, "Where are we going, buddy?" He really does feel like a friendly little fella who wants you to succeed, and it's weirdly wholesome in a way. Hell, even Scylla gets in on the fourth wall breaking fun.
Hallo, jeg ved godt, I er hjemme.
Oh, stop!
Alright, that's enough tangents. Let's actually talk about the games themselves. In the woods, Hugo walks left to right, picking up gold and jumping or ducking to avoid traps. This is the game that feels the most like a classic side-scroller. And since you can actually control Hugo's speed and even stop and walk backwards in the arcade version, unlike the TV version, there's really nothing stopping you from grabbing the gold or take a running start to get past obstacles. Which, believe me, you're gonna need, because this game loves to throw practically impossible trap combinations at you. Yeah, it's a whole lot of bullshit. I do like Hugo's worried face once Scylla summons the boulders, though. He looks like his boss told him to send nudes if he wants to keep his job. Train is also pretty straightforward. Just keep an eye on the map on the right, switch tracks to avoid getting run over by the oncoming locomotives, grab the gold when you can, and try not to hit a dead end. That's all.
But I swear that actually beating the arcade version comes down to pure luck.
The trains just pop up out of nowhere sometimes, and you can easily get stuck on a track for a while with little option to switch. And no matter how much I try to analyze it, I just cannot for the life of me spot any rhyme or reason as to when the other train switch track. Oh, come on, man! What the hell was that? Scuba also seems simple enough at first sight. Avoid the animals, grab the treasure chests, and remember to go up sometimes to refill your oxygen meter.
But I died so many times on this one, and for the longest time I just couldn't figure out why. Turns out, this game is just terrible at communicating to the player what is and isn't dangerous.
See those rocks that just jut out from the background? Yeah, those aren't dangerous. You don't have to dodge them. That red seaweed that's just as pixelated as the other seaweed and moves at a different frame rate than everything else? Yeah, fuck you, that's an octopus. You're dead. And my god, it would be a lot easier to not get eaten by the fish if Hugo wasn't so dummy thick that his colossal clapping cheeks take up half the goddamn screen! Lay off the pastries, you little shit!
Oh god, this is so much harder than I was expecting.
Thankfully, skateboard is pretty easy. You just use the ramps to avoid rocks and beaver dams, and try not to fall into the holes when you get to the bridge. Hugo's controls are nice and responsive, his velocity and weight feel right, and it's somewhat forgiving with the physics of going over the holes. This one might be my favorite. Also, I love that you can actually see Scylla's volcano lair in the distance in this one. That's a cool detail. Speaking of the volcano, you have two options to get there. Mountain or plain. Well, plain sounds nice, so let's just, Oh. Huh.
Yeah, so like, it turns out that the plane minigame is, incredibly easy.
Just don't fly directly into a thundercloud, don't hit the dynamite, and check the map every now and then to make sure you're headed for the mountaintop. It's mind-numbingly easy. I've actually had to do donuts in the air in TV mode just to see what it looks like when Hugo runs out of fuel. Oh man, that is some grade A Wile E. Coyote shit. I love it. Mountain is the harder choice, but only because the timing to grab the gold bags or dodge the boulders is incredibly specific. I mean, believe me, you're gonna fall. A lot.
What the hell was that? Sorry!
Once you get the timing down though, jumping over the holes is no problem and you'll reach the top before you know it. When you get to Scylla's lair, you face the most infamous aspect of the Hugo games, the ropes. All you do is pick a rope. Pick the right one to defeat Scylla and rescue your family, but pick the wrong one and you get your points cut in half and sent back a couple stages to try again.
Jeg skal nok få dig næste gang, din pulverheks.
It is just a guessing game that comes down to pure luck. So in other words, no matter how well you played, no matter how many points you have, you always have a 33% chance of dropping it all on the floor.
Yeah, so remember how Hugo was developed for a TV game show? This is kind of a holdover from that. And I mean, while it is an iconic and well-known image in Danish media, it has no damn business being in a console game.
But still, if you get the right rope, you get to enjoy a happy ending and take pride in beating Hugo the TV-Troll on PS1. Good job.
Og så, som om det ikke var nok, fandt jeg noget træ og nogle grankogler og lavede mig et skateboard, så jeg kunne komme hurtigere gennem den udtørrede flod. Og så kunne jeg pludselig gøre ting, jeg slet ikke vidste, jeg kunne, da den udtørrede flod sluttede.
Oh, well, hey now, that's not very nice. But that's not the end though, is it? No, I know you guys. I know you've been counting, and aside from the rope thing at the end, you've only counted 6 minigames, right? So I must have skipped one. And the answer is yes. Yes, I did. I did skip one. I skipped Lumberjack.
Lumberjack can crawl right back into the sweaty armpit of hell from whence it came. All you have to do is jump between 3 rows of logs and dodge branches. That's it. That's the whole game.
And I know, looking at it, it shouldn't be that hard, right? It looks easy. It should be easy. But believe me, I spent hours on this one because it is just full to the brim with bullshit.
Stay on a log too long, you die. Misjudge your jump by 1 pixel, you die. Think you can just jump up and down the log to keep it from sinking? It moves ahead of you and you die. And once you get to the halfway point, Scylla starts animating these hard to spot trees that push you into the water. So now you have to jump even more and just pray that you don't get stuck on one side waiting for a middle log to come by.
And I would be perfectly willing to deal with all of this if it wasn't for one thing.
This is the one minigame that sends you all the way back to the start every time you die. Good fucking God! Look how far that is! And even when you play it perfectly, it's just so goddamn long! I feel like Sisyphus rolling the boulder up the fucking hill!
And no, the gold bags don't respawn, so you just keep running out of chances to grab an extra life, and you're gonna have to start all over again!
This isn't a game. It's an exercise in frustration. It's the kind of shit that Jack Nicholson would make Adam Sandler play in anger management. By the time you beat this game, you'll have missed 15 doctor's appointments. The PS7 will have launched, and you will have become a local urban legend to be endlessly retold in the deepest pits of the online creepypasta community.
Oh yeah. They'll be all like, hey, have you heard the one about the guy in his mid-30s who got so engrossed in a PS1 game that he sat on his chair for literal years and died and became skin and bones? Pretty fucking spooky, right guys?
Move over, Ben Drowned. Make way for Ash lost his fucking mind and chewed off his own goddamn hands in pure frustration playing the lumberjack level of Hugo the TV-Troll on the BS goddamn motherfucking 1! Thankfully, I'm a grown adult with perfectly sane and healthy ways to cope with my irritation.
And this is the part where one of you asks, well, why are you still playing it then? I mean, you said it yourself, you only have to beat 4 minigames to get to the end, right?
Well, you see this result screen when you finish a game? Yeah. Every stage has a secret item in it randomly placed in a gold bag. Your only clue is a sound effect, and you only get to keep it if you finish the stage.
I gotta get the item. I gotta see what could possibly be worth all this work. It's gotta be something good. It has to be something good.
Oh, I did it. I got through, and I have all the items. There it is. Magic hands. Oh my God, I finally got it.
Yes. Show me the fruits of my labor. Bless me, almighty Hugo, with your divine reward.
Hold fast. Vær klar. For nu skal vi finde perlen, far. Kom nu. Du skal vælge en.
It's just a game of cups and balls. An easy game of cups and balls. That doesn't actually give you anything. And it only ends when you quit manually, regardless of how many times you win or lose.
This is it? This is what I played my fingers to the bone for? This is why I nearly drove myself insane? This is the gold at the end of the rainbow? Look, why don't we just start playing the second one already?
Hugo 2 picks up right where the last game left off, with Hugo flying his family home. But Scylla is a crafty old bag, and using a magic book, she summons a cloud to kidnap Hugolina again, not even bothering with the kids this time. And after noticing that his wife is missing, Hugo does the only sensible thing and chucks his children out of a plane. You know, as you do. And now he has to go through another set of challenges, pick up his kids along the way, and save his wife from the evil witch once more.
Pretty straightforward, just more of the same, so let's go.
Once again, we have 7 minigames that we can play in either TV mode or arcade mode, with the main difference being difficulty and the ability to pick up extra lives along the way. With more than a 3-life maximum this time, thank God. Weirdly, the game is actually linear this time and loses the map that let you pick between 2 games. I know he has to save his kids, so you can't really do the skipping a game thing, but I do miss that little bit of extra freedom. But anyway, our first game is Snowboard and... Oh my God!
This kind of rules.
It's fast-paced, it's responsive, it's generous with the extra lives, and the addition of a map with dead ends means you actually have to pay attention and plan ahead a little.
Plus, the music is freaking excellent.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we just found the city escape of the Hugo franchise. Next up is sledding, which is a bit more relaxed. You control Hugo as he sleds downhill along 3 paths, try to pick up the gold and avoid oncoming dangers. Actually, despite all the bombs and dynamite on the track, which is decently easy to dodge thanks to these signs, your worst enemy is the goddamn seagull. These guys come flying from the left, your only warning is a sound effect, and if you're going too fast, you're definitely getting a face full of feathers.
Wow, det kalder jeg et knus. Han er sørme nem at blive gode venner med.
Hugo, no. He's not your friend. He's trying to eat your head. He's already planted the brain parasite. You'll be dead by dawn.
Once Hugo has picked up his infant child from the frozen tundra, it's off to our third game, the Ice Caves. This one is a bit of a pain in the ass, honestly. You gotta jump across these ice pillars to grab the lamps, which make magic scrolls appear. Once you get 3 of those, you hop to the gate, input the symbols in the correct order, and you win.
It's not exactly a hard game, and I mean, it is kind of fun, but man, it can get tedious.
You can't stand on one platform for too long or you'll trigger one of the traps, and the platforms keep going up and down every time you jump to another one. Since this is randomized, it's entirely possible for the lamp or the scroll to go away before you can get there and force you to wait for it to reappear. And once those icicles start making the ice pillars fall down, well, it starts to get a bit annoying.
Sometimes it won't even let you get to the gate even after you got all the scrolls.
Okay, I'm almost there. I just gotta hop back a little. Yes, there it is. Oh, come on, man. Keep moving. Hopefully you get the pillow you need. Oh man. Yes, we're getting closer. Yes. Just let me get over there. Oh shit! Oh god, finally!
Nej, hvor er du dygtig.
Oh, fuck you, Hugo. Don't give me your goddamn sass. You think I can't hear the sarcasm in your voice?
Okay, now we're getting into some serious shit. The minecart stage is fast. Much like the snowboard game, you have to consult the map to find your way out, but all you can do is lean sideways or duck to avoid hitting the various obstacles in the level. You gotta jump to grab the gold, but it is risky since these obstacles come at you hard and fast. Sometimes they even come from around corners and the draw distance is not great, so it's very easy to just jump for gold and slam right into something and lose a life.
So it really doesn't pay to be greedy here, but the problem is you kind of have to be.
Grabbing gold is the only way to get more lives, and since you can't go backwards or choose other games like in Hugo 1, you're stuck with whatever lives you got when you get here. So if you're running low on lives, you really can't afford not to be greedy, and you gotta grab the gold on the off chance that you snag an extra life or two. At least in Hugo 1 I could go back and play the skateboard or forest games to try and get a couple extra lives when I was having trouble. This is brutal. Now after picking up your second kid, it's time to head to the creepy swamp.
Or, as I like to call it, the bog of bullshit!
At first you take a look at this and you go, oh, well, this is nice. This relaxing banjo music, your free range, it's nice and sunny. Yeah, this is a good time. That is except for the fucking bats that constantly chase you, the mud puddles you drown in unless you high jump, the goddamn windmills you gotta use to launch yourself across the water, and these impossible to hit beaver boats. And on top of that, you have to keep an eye on these animal signs and remember the combination to open the gate at the end. All while those damn bats are still after you!
Jeg kunne bedre lide mit gamle hår.
Wait, hold on. He loses a life?
Some bat slightly messed up his hair and Hugo loses a life over it? You can game over by having your hair messed up?
Oh my god. I just realized what a wiener Hugo is.
Not only does he never get any kind of attack, but this dude just gives up at the tiniest things. It's not even like he dies when you lose all your lives, he just tells you it's game over.
I mean, I can understand things like losing a life by getting hit by a boulder or ramming into a wooden barricade or being eaten by a fish, but
coming to a stop on the train track? Oops, that's it for me. Fall in a still river? Too bad, so sad. Slip on some mud? Oh dear me, I simply can't go on. God, what a freaking drama queen! What do you mean you lose a life just because you hit a snowman? Your infant child is freezing to death on a mountain somewhere! Get the fuck back on that sled and quit your bitching, you little bastard! Can you imagine if you were playing Mario and after you got hit like 2 times he just stopped dead in his tracks and was like, no! Fuck this! I'm going home! The princess can save her own sorry ass self!
Besides, it's not like the bats are his biggest problem. It's these damn controls!
I don't know what it is, but I just can't get this game to respond the way I want it to. Sometimes the game just doesn't register my high jump and Hugo runs straight into the mud. The free range makes it nearly impossible to hit these damn beaver boats since you sink if you're like 1 pixel off on the Z-axis. And I swear to God, I just cannot find the right timing on these windmills and keep getting dunked straight into the river. Never mind that you gotta run around like an idiot and wait for the wind to pick up speed and all the while those damn bats are still following you around. Oh God, no, not my hair! Once you get through the bog of bullshit, you reach the mountain climber stage, and oh boy, now it's really starting to feel like you're actually reaching the villain's lair. There's falling boulders, fire-spewing gargoyles, dynamite. Scylla's really putting out all the stops now.
Det her stærke sager.
This game is actually pretty fun and intense, but it's not without its own share of bullshit in the arcade version.
For one, the fireballs are fully randomized, both in amount and in direction, so it's very easy to walk straight into one without meaning to or getting hit mid-climb or jump.
Sådan kan man åbenbart også blive solbrændt.
And the boulders, god damn the boulders! They spawn from off screen and you have no way of telling which side of the wall they're dropping from before they appear, and by then it's usually too late to jump away. They can even actually take up a full wall, forcing you to find the exact sweet spot between them to climb up, which can require falling down and climbing up again since your sideways jumps are at a fixed length. Honestly, the best approach whenever you get to new walls is to either just pick the shortest one or to stop and wait and see where the boulders land to give you some idea of where it's safe to climb. Once you figure this out, the game is pretty straightforward. Alright, I found my last kid, and now it's time to face Scylla.
Alright, Scylla, lay it on me. What is it this time? Another dumb game of chance? We're gonna play rock, paper, scissors for my wife's freedom or something?
Actually, no. Scylla stops fucking around and straight up just starts blasting you with lightning. Holy shit, it's almost like an actual boss fight. Well, sort of. All you gotta do is jump around until the key appears, at which point you can just open the gate and rescue Hugolina. Hugo even gives you a little hint on how to survive in the beginning.
Jeg må hellere holde mig fra de lyse pletter.
Yeah, that line is a big old load of shit.
Hugo is a fucking liar, she shoots at those too. The real trick is to only jump when she's already thrown one of her bolts. If you jump before she fires it, she'll predict where you're going and zap that tile instead. But it's a decent little final challenge all the same. And now that you have rescued Hugolina yet again, it's time to lean back and enjoy your hard-earned ending. Oh, and there's no magic hands nonsense to worry about this time, thank God.
So that's Hugo 1 and 2 on the PS1, and I bet you're wondering, with all the talking I've been doing about Hugo and his legacy, what about the games themselves? Are they actually any good? No, at least not by PS1 standards.
Don't get me wrong here. The games are charming. I love the Hugo character. I had great fun playing these, and if you ask me, it's no wonder he became a worldwide sensation. He's just good, wholesome fun, and in a time where video games were still pretty niche, he made them likable and enjoyable for the whole family. But remember, these games were developed to be played on old-school landline phones. They had to be simple by design. And that's fine for old PCs like the Commodore and the Amiga, but in an age where we had console titles like Sonic Adventure, Crash Bandicoot Warped, Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid and Resident Evil 2, the Hugo games come across as being archaic at best.
But you have to understand that to a small country like Denmark in the early 90s, the idea of having our own video game mascot who was distinctively Danish and wasn't just copying what the Americans were doing was almost unimaginable, especially one that had worldwide success. I mean, yeah, he might not have been the toughest or the coolest video game mascot, but he was our video game mascot, damn it, and I think that counts for something too.
But then, I don't think Hugo's games were ever popular because they were amazing feats of video gaming technology, at least not beyond the initial phone gimmick. Hugo became popular because he was a fun little character that entertained people across the world and showed them how fun playing games together can be. Even if the game in question happens to be one of those newfangled beeping and booping ones.
I do still think the games are worth playing though, both because they actually are pretty fun and because of their historical value. And getting your hands on the PS1 discs is definitely one of the easier ways to get to play them nowadays.
But honestly, just stick to popping on the TV version for a couple minutes here and there. The arcade versions are just too frustrating to be worth the trouble, and they come across as exactly what they are. A few slightly updated minigames that were hastily stuck together with duct tape and spit. Plus, if you actually do get good at the games and you can just breeze through them, a full arcade playthrough will likely only take about an hour. If you're gonna play just one of these discs, I'd go with Hugo 2, since the games are more action-packed, faster paced, and more responsive. Except the bog of bullshit. That one can die in a fire.
But even though Hugo's popularity started to fade a little by the end of the 90s and the early 2000s, it was far from the end for him.
A ton more Hugo games were made over the years, be they Christmas games, educational games starring his children, or even just further re-releases of the old minigames for PC. Though nowadays, Hugo has entered mascot limbo and seems to make a living being the face of a series of online slot machines of all things. What a sad end to the reign of the Troll King of Television.
As for me personally, I'm much more interested in the console games.
Yeah, at the turn of the millennium and a bit into the 2000s, ITE made several attempts to turn Hugo into a video game mascot that could compete with the big boys, with a couple of more traditional 3D platformers on the PS1. There was even a series of games on the PS2 called Agent Hugo, where he became a James Bond parody. What?
I would love to check some of those games out, so if you want to see more Hugo stuff, just let me know in the comments below, and until then, there's nothing left to say except trollerit, trollerat, trollerut, spillet det er slut. See you next time, folks, and bye-bye. Hey there, folks, and thank you so much for watching this video about Hugo, the Danish gaming mascot. Does your country have any gaming mascots that people don't talk much about? Then tell me about them in the comments below, and don't forget to click the like button while you're down there. I'd like to say a special thanks to Andreas Vilsom, Half Triptid, Pocket Mouse, Elinor Stråhed, John G. Robinson, John Algitz, The Danish Penguin, Warren Miller, Silvermoon Ravenwolf, and everyone else who supports me on Patreon. I really appreciate it, folks. Thank you. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon too, you can just follow the link in the description, where you can also find a link to my Discord server, which you're more than welcome to join. And if you happen to be new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to see more videos about weird media in the future. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.